Okay. Things are on. Things are working. Can you hear me? Or hear such? Let me check. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? You can. I love it when you guys can hear me. So, as per usual, it would not be a stream of mine if we didn't have some technical issues, and this was honestly an issue that happened last night when I was trying to do my stream on Twitch that I thought would just, there were a lot of things going on last night, and it required me to restart my computer about 3 times. And by the time we actually got it working, I was no longer in the mood to stream. But one of the issues was that my web camera, this one right here, would just stop working randomly. So was really hoping that since some of the other issues fixed at the end of the night, that would also be one of the issues that got fixed at the end of the night. Was not the case. So we're stealing my boyfriend's webcam right now, and I'm probably gonna have to get one soon. So that's cool. But let us begin. Let's talk about this book that I read, because I'm just gonna warn you right now, I liked the book. I'm not shocked, because the last time I read a book in the Diana Flowers series, I actually read book 2 before this. I just read book 1. I've already read book 2. I liked that one too. But now I feel like I have a more tangible way to explain why and the things that I do love about this book and the reasons why it's a good read. I appreciated the time I spent reading it. So let's get into it. First off, we have this chick, Diana Flowers. She was a chemist, but she left that job because she had previously been a chemist working in a lab, and then at the same time trying to run a little plot of land to grow flowers that she had paid for this little plot of land. She was growing flowers there. But she left her job at the lab because someone, this guy Jim, this old man Jim, who was on the plot of land right next to her, he passed away and he left her his house. And his house had so much land on it. So she took the house and was going to actually start a flower business, which it was doing quite well. It was doing quite well for a while. The next thing you need to know is, as she's working on it, as she's working there selling flowers, she ends up getting hired to do the flowers at a wedding. Mostly because the bride is the most horrible human being in the world and no one else would work with her. But they're neighbors, so she couldn't say no. So she worked at the event, gave flowers for their wedding. As she's there in the morning trying to make sure everything's perfect, she finds a dead body in the cake. So there's this guy, Fergus. Favorite character in this book. I love him to death. He is hardcore conspiracy theorist to the point where he is, the first time we meet him is because he's trespassing on her land, coincidentally right after a break-in. He's trespassing on her land and is essentially looking for some bad mojo in her soil, saying that there's some bad mojo in the soil and it's driving the neighborhood crazy. He also goes on, he talks about a lot of interesting things. In the next book, we also have him talking about he takes her to this fort where they're doing a flower arranging kind of, I don't want to say ceremony. It's almost like a summer camp for adults, but they're all arranging flowers. And he takes her there, half because it's a good gift to her for her birthday, and half because there's supposedly an alien there. Yeah, there's supposedly, and it's supposed to be an alien or spacecraft that has landed there and is just hidden on this military base that ended up getting bought by just a random guy. So that's the kind of person Fergus is. He is absolutely charming, though. Like, he's so suave, and I love it. He's hilarious. He's so just radiant of positivity. It's great. He's a great guy. He's a great guy. We love Fergus. But again, he is looking for some bad mojo that's driving the neighborhood crazy. He is also kind of relative to the neighborhood. He's frequenting the neighborhood because the man that showed up dead in the cake was the best man of the wedding, and he ended up being the step-in best man because he was best friends with the groom in college. And so it's not crazy to think that he's going to be in this neighborhood, but that's Fergus. So Diana, as she's going through her land, she's trying to figure out why the person broke into her house, because it looked like they had dug up floorboards. And as she's looking through her place, she finds a bag of human bones, and she believes that that's why there was a break-in at her place and later break-ins at basically every other house in the neighborhood, all of which had the floorboards scraped up. So next we get into the most bamboozling part of this whole thing for me, and that is the murderers and the reasoning for the murderers. So the things you need to know about the actual murder is there's technically 3 murders in this whole story, and we have several suspected candidates for the murder. We have this woman, Carrie, who everyone is to understand she ran off on her husband because they were in a relationship where they both just cheated on each other regularly. And so they suspect that she has run off without telling anyone. There is the daughter of the girl that husband is cheating with a lot of the times, because she supposedly went off to another country and just doesn't keep in contact with her mother, doesn't keep in contact with anyone. She ran off to another country. And then there is this tenant at one of Diana's neighbors' houses. She was renting for a while. They tried to evict her, and the story is that she stole everything that there was and left. What happened was, we have the people that are her neighbors that were renting out that area for the one woman. Their names are Tom and Alice. So what happened is, we have Tom and Alice. The chick that they're renting to is super into Tom, and he's not comfortable with it. He tells her, like, hey, I'm a married man, I'm happy, I don't want this. She doesn't listen, so they try to evict her, but there's some legal thing of they can't evict her because they did not give her enough notice. And so one day after that, this woman severely approaches Tom, like grabs him, and he starts seeing red. And the next thing he knows, she's dead. She has a knife in her chest. We'll come back to that. So she's dead though. I believe they just bury her in the back. Then Carrie, the wife in the like toxic cheating relationship, she comes around. Is like, hey, she and I are supposed to talk. She's been cheating on with my guy. We need to talk about this. We're supposed to talk, and she never showed up. Where is she? And they told her the story of, oh, she just stole everything and left. And Carrie was like, no, I don't think she'd do that. She wouldn't give up my man that easily. I think you guys are being sketchy, so I'm going to call the police. So Tom and his wife kill Carrie, and they bury her, and then her body is the bag of bones that Diana finds later. And honestly, the reason why they had the bag of bones was because Jim was trying to use this as blackmail against them, because he's a really petty man, and he's trying to grow some hydrangeas over, technically outside of his actual land, more into their space. And Alice gets very upset about it, dumps something that poisons the whole plot of the hydrangeas, and so he steals the bag of bones, hides it in his place, but then immediately regrets it, doesn't know what to do, and he just kind of leaves it for Diana. But that's that. And then the next idea was that Alice was going to send some letters from Carrie that are postmarked from London. She has a whole thing set up so no one would be able to track it back to her, but she sends them from London to one of their neighbors, and that is the groom at the beginning of the book. When he brings in his friend Troy, is the guy who ends up dead in the cake. When he brings in Troy for the wedding, he starts talking about it, and Troy says he doesn't say anything, but he goes to Alice and essentially accuses her of doing something to Carrie and potentially something to the other girl. They assume that he had some not so exclusive relationships with both women. And so he accuses Alice of stuff. She ends up murdering him. And then she's so paranoid about this whole thing. She starts breaking into the houses to try and find the bones because she doesn't want any loose ends. But at the end of the book, she's breaking into Diana. They had some barbecue, and she ended up talking about the bones, and the way Diana reacted made her realize that Diana had them. So she ends up breaking into Diana's house, tries to kill her, but she doesn't end up being able to do it. And then her husband's like, we're not killers, we're not criminals, we need to stop this now. And that's how the book ends. Let's go back, because I feel like the thing that I struggle with the most in this book, I love the way the story is written. I love Diana. I love Fergus. I love seeing her experience things. But I'm having such a hard time actually buying the answer they gave for the murder. And it's because it seems so out of nowhere. Again, we're presumably saying, and what they've said in the book is, this is not a normal characteristic of Tom, the guy who ends up killing the rancher at first. That's the first killing they do. He's not an angry guy. He's not he's not physical. He's not abusive, if anything. Though, from what we've seen, he almost kind of seems more lazy than anything else. Though that could be because he's like a crime writer, and he might have lost a taste for that after killing someone. But it seems so out of character for him to get this random burst of anger when I feel like there's so many other solutions they could have done to get this woman out of the house. They could have actually given her proper notice of the eviction. They could have filed charges against her for sexual harassment, filed for what is it called? Whoa, why am I forgetting the word? Oh, what is the thing? You can't come within 100 feet of a person. Restraining order. They could have filed a restraining order. Granted, This whole thing takes place in England. I don't necessarily know how the laws work there, but I feel like there are avenues that they could have gone through. Just being, yes, you couldn't throw her out of the house then and there, but I'm sure there were other things you could do. And I feel because there were so many other options that they could have had to get this woman out of their life, and they didn't really go through any of them, then suddenly out of nowhere he gets such a rage that he's going to murder someone. I feel that felt super hard to believe for me, especially because I feel like they have so much power as the landlords. I don't know, because it seems like they're renting out for Airbnb, nothing long term. So they could just say, hey, in these next couple months, we're raising the rent to this ridiculous amount. Or in the next couple months, we're just not going to rent out this. We're not renting out our shed anymore. So skedaddle, something like that. That was so hard to believe for me. And then you have this woman Carrie, who's like, nope, she was cheating with my man. She's not just going to let him go. She's just not going to up and leave without my man. She wanted to fight for him. So I don't believe that she would have left to find something better to do. I felt like I struggle buying into a lot of the ideas going on for why the murder happened. It was a little rough for me. But let's leave that. Let's leave that. I will say that was kind of a bit of a disappointing end to it. That's okay, because we have the rest of the book and we have book 3. We're not going to read book 3 next, but we will get to book 3. Trust me. But let's leave that and go into some other reasons. Let's talk about the reasons why I love Diana Flowers. I see so much of myself in Diana. She had a job, and while it paid the bills, it wasn't doing it for her, so she left her job to work on her dreams. I feel that. I feel that very spiritually. Granted, I am technically younger than her. I think she's 27. I just turned 21. But still, we bond in this sense. And so seeing her going through the struggles that she has and the emotional breakdowns when it feels like nothing's going to work, I feel that. There's a point where apparently there are these super toxic bugs eating at all of her deep root plants, and she's freaking out, trying to figure out a way that she's even going to make enough money this summer to get her through the winter so she can continue this business. And I'm there the whole time with her. I want to be there, and I want to help her figure out how to make this work. They kind of drop it at some point, I will say, but that is a storyline I feel wasn't fully developed, because you see the day where she's really freaking out, and then you see her go to talk to some neighbors, and they give her advice. We don't know if she tried any of it, if any of it helped at all. Then at the end, she's just kind of says, oh, I'm just going to build planter boxes. Grass grows well in this soil anyway. But there was a whole issue of it's going to be super expensive to build the planter boxes. It's going to take so much time to regrow everything, because she can't just take those plants and put them in there, or she's going to bring those bugs and those insects into the new planter boxes. And so that was a whole issue. And then at the end, she just kind of blows it off as, oh, I'll just do this. And it felt like I didn't get to go along with the ride with her to see what's going on and see how she's going to figure this out. But it's those things. It's those little aspects. She goes to every business, every florist in town, and sees if they want to order some flowers from her. It's seeing the hard work and seeing her follow this dream that makes it so relatable for me. and so much of something that I just want to be there for. So I love this character, and I love being here for these character stories. Another thing I realized, I don't tend to lean towards romance. I don't tend to read a lot of romance. I usually find them very predictable and kind of cringy at times. But I also don't go into I don't look for romance at all. And that's really how it's been since the entire time I've grown up. I've never sought out a story about romance. If it comes to me, we'll see how I like it. But if it comes to me, especially through a bigger story with a bigger storyline beyond the romance, then sure, whatever. But I'm not one to go specifically for a romance genre. What I do realize is I don't know what it is about a romance storyline where you have two people that feel any way, honestly, about each other. They could like each other, they could hate each other, but for one reason or another, they start pretending to date, and then you see them bond. I don't know why I think it's so adorable, but there is a point where they're at that party, the one where Alice starts talking about the murders in the area, and Diana gives away that she has bones. She doesn't tell them, but the reactions, her facial reactions, do that. They're at the party, and Diana's mother is there with her parents. Have been divorced since she was a kid, but they're there. She's there with her new boyfriend, and Diana came with Fergus because he was around. And so Diana's mother is being super critical of her. And Fergus just walks up and just like, hey guys, how's it going? And Diana just gives him a look of panic, and he's like, oh, I got this, puts his hand on her shoulder. And Mom's just shuts up. Mom's shocked. Mom shuts up. He's like, I'm just going to steal her for a little bit, but you guys have a nice night. Did I do the right thing? Yes, you did. I don't know why I think those kinds of scenes are just so adorable, because it's less of a, because it's something that starts the whole relationship with just a small selfless act to help her out of a stressful situation really quick. But it's such a cute little, just, I'm going to put my hand on your shoulder and I'm going to like lead you away. Bye, Mom. I don't know what it is, but I think that is the cutest possible way to start off a romance line. Because I said this at the end of the review I did for the second book. I guarantee she and Fergus are going to be together. But so just seeing that scene just warmed my heart for this couple and for their future. I'm so excited for it. This one, other than that, I don't believe I had. Oh, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I probably would be down to read this book again and see how the author has spun the evidence to point towards Tom and Alice, because I really wasn't paying attention to them at all. Mostly because you have Carrie's husband, or ex technically, or widow. They never really got divorced. She just vanished. So you have Tom. No, they were fiancés. That's what it was. She left him right before their wedding, but they had a kid already. Fiancé, ex-fiancé. But you have Tom. Is Tom even his name? Jay Donahue is Carrie's ex, right? And so the thing with this, the reason why I was so focused on Jay Donahue is because Jay Donahue is by far the sleaziest character I've ever read in fiction, and for him to not be a bad guy, I respect the decision as a reader. I fully understand why you don't want him to be the bad guy, but I hate it. I just want him to get some comeuppance. I truly do. Because Jay Donahue seems to be the kind of guy who will not be satisfied unless he is cheating on someone. So he was with Carrie, and then he was cheating on Carrie with this other chick, this other neighbor. And he was also cheating on her with the renter chick. So now he insists that his relationship with the other girl, the neighbor girl, be kept a secret. He's saying it's for the sake of his daughter, but they've been together. The murders happened 4 years prior to Diana moving to this neighborhood, and they're still together. If you're together for 4 years, your relationship does not need to be a secret. And realistically, it's not even a secret. Everyone in the neighborhood knows. But, so he is trying to have a secret relationship with her. And then he invites Diana over for his daughter's birthday, asks her to make a bouquet. And when she gets there, he is flirting with her nonstop in front of the girl he's having a secret relationship with. To the point where that girl comes over to Diana's house and is like, hey, step off my man. We're kind of seeing each other. Diana's just, I don't care. This is not my thing. And this was another time where Fergus came in. I don't know if he was already there, if he came into and knocked on the door, came into the house at this moment. But as Diana's just like, I have no interest in him. Fergus comes in, and the other girl's like, oh, she's seeing someone. So I'm glad that we're kind of pretending that we're together moment helped to squash this drama that really would have just been overdone if they had done anything else with it. If they had continued to have this other woman come by and harass Diana. So that was nice. But even then, he can, after his secret relationship chick goes to Diana, he still continues to flirt with Diana. He's just so sleazy as a human being that I need him. I need him to have some sort of negative backlash for it. But I don't know if the book's going to give it to me. Because the next book takes place absolutely, completely far away from their home. So we don't see any of the neighbors in the next book. But we might see him in book 3, and at that point, I want something to happen to Jay. If he's the next murder victim, or if he gets hit by a bus for no reason, something needs to happen to him. That man deserves something. But yeah, I do believe that I was definitely really far off of who the actual murder was. And while I do love to try and figure that stuff out, it does give me a bit of pride, and I do feel a little good about myself when I do figure it out before the main character does. There is a balance, you know. Because I feel like I give off the impression that I don't think it's a good book if I couldn't have figured it out. That's absolutely not true. I think my favorite book series ever, The Grimm Sisters, I didn't figure out who the main villain was, and I was devastated. Still, it's my favorite book series. I was emotionally broken over who the main villain of that series is. We need to get into the Queen of Thieves, but I was devastated by who the main villain was. It hurt me, but it was well done. The balance is, you don't want to essentially just make it obvious, but you also have to have the hints in there. Otherwise, it feels very cheap. It feels like a very cheap twist if the person, the murderer, is someone we've never seen before, or if the murderer was someone we saw and then the clues didn't associate with them at all. The reason you give for having them be the murderer makes no sense at all. And while I do have my criticisms of the reason why Tom did end up doing the murders, I have my criticisms, but I would like to read it again and at that point see if I felt like the breadcrumbs were there and if they were placed well. I feel like for the read that I've had, I'm fine with it because I recognize that I was just super distracted by how shitty a human being Jay was. So I'm satisfied with it at the moment. I would like to read it again and see then if I think it was how I feel about how it was laid out. But I'm totally, if I don't figure out a story, that's fine. It's just, was it well done, or was it just an answer you pulled out of your ass? That's the difference. That's the thing. Okay. I've gone on several tangents, but they were good tangents. We had fun. We had fun. But now it is time to shut everything down. Just reminding you guys, I do have my book, The Queen of Thieves and New Throne. This is the first book of my series. You can purchase that. It's available on Amazon.com. But until next time, valedictions, friends. And last thing, I will be posting on like my Instagram by tomorrow night what the next book is going to be. So see you then. Bye.